Welcome to the Infrastructure Podcast. My name is Anthony Oliver, and today we're recording live at UKREiiF, the UK Real Estate Investment and Infrastructure Forum in Leeds. My guest today is Peter Hogg, Country Director for the UK and Ireland at Arcadis, and we're going to spend the next few moments drilling into Peter's perspective on the opportunities and challenges facing the UK infrastructure market as we attempt to invest for the future. And Peter is a great person to pose those questions to. Having just been elevated to run the UK and Ireland division, he has nearly 3 decades of experience at the coalface, delivering some of London's most significant infrastructure projects, Jubilee Line Extension, for instance, and Pancras International, and Heathrow's Terminal 5. Today, he is challenged to define Arcadis' strategy and set a clear vision for the future to embrace these challenges and opportunities, a vision that will hopefully help the UK to deliver the sustainable, resilient infrastructure that's critical to the UK's future success. So, Peter, welcome to the Infrastructure Podcast.
Anthony, it's great to be here.
Brilliant. Well, let's start off, Peter, by getting your thoughts on the positive and negative trends facing the sector. The government's just updated its £725 billion infrastructure pipeline, which is intended to be realistic and helpful to the sector in terms of planning. How do you see its true impact?
Well, the infrastructure pipeline is definitely helpful. It's a step forward, it's a step in the right direction. It's a really clear and positive signal of intent from the government. Are there things that could be done to make it an even better, even more robust document and tool for us? Yes, of course there are, but it's early days. So we're working positively with NISTA, with Treasury, with government, and with all those other regional and local agencies, as well as our private sector developer and investor clients, in order to make sure that we build on the kernel of positivity that we see in the pipeline.
Yeah. And it's all about, of course, driving this mission for growing the economy. Assuming the strategy is right, do you think that the public and private sector ambition is deliverable? We see 1.5 million homes slated for delivery, a new generation of nuclear, wind, solar, new reservoirs. Is this deliverable?
I think it is deliverable, for sure. The timescale over which it's delivered, the manner in which it is delivered, I think are still up for debate. And I think there's some over-ambition in certain areas there, and there's some under-ambition in others. Mm-hmm. And there are areas where we would advocate that people should go faster and more boldly. But I think it is deliverable, provided, as you rightly say, Anthony, you get those partnerships right.
Yeah. So from your perspective, what are your key areas for growth, and what conversations are you having here in Leeds at UKREiiF?
For us, it's all about delivering growth in uncertain times. There is a danger, of course, that we all take counsel of our worst fears, we curl up into a ball and we stop doing things. Arcadis has a completely counter view to that. Uncertainty is the very, very best of times to make investment. Right. So that's what we're advocating for, progress during uncertainty. And
having worked on key major infrastructure projects over the last few years, how can we realistically improve our productivity, which is going to, I suppose, accelerate that delivery?
I think there's a number of ways in which you can improve that productivity. I think it's being tighter, clearer and more realistic in the briefing stage of major infrastructure projects.
Yeah. And is there a role? There must be a role for technology, and can things like AI really transform the way that we're kind of delivering all this?
AI is going to be a really helpful tool. Technology is going to be really helpful in supporting an increase in productivity. But the productivity drive will begin and end with people making the right decisions and the right commitments, and doing that early.
Yeah. Digital technology, of course, is fundamental to underpinning what is billed by many as being perhaps the salvation of the industry, which is off-site manufacturing, new methods of modern methods of construction. It's talked about a lot in the hospital programme. It's also talked today, actually, by the Minister about in the delivery of new homes. How do you see the advantages? What are the pitfalls? What are the realistic hopes for you of new modern methods of construction?
Yeah, so Anthony, for me, the advantages and the benefits come when you've got replicability, when you've got things you can do over and over again. Mm-hmm. Where the disadvantages come is when you spin your wheels for ages trying to force fit modern methods of construction, system building, replicability to things where they don't really belong. Mm-hmm. So be really clear when you're specifying your project up front what you can digitize and productionize and what you will need to do traditionally, and be very, very clear on the different streams between those and drive both of them like hell. then you get results.
Yeah, because there's been a few people who've been somewhat burnt by it in the past. We can learn from that.
Definitely. I mean, there are always learnings, and I think very often some of those past failures or failures to capitalise on opportunity have come when people have become perhaps too evangelistic, too target-oriented on a particular process or approach, when actually they should have stepped back and thought, bigger picture, what's the outcome we're trying to deliver, what's the best method to do that.
Yeah, so lots of ambition. We've got ways of getting more productive. We've got some new technologies being used, but of course one of the key other areas, real challenges around skills. Everyone's talking about, do we have the right skills? How do we attract but also retain the best skills in this sector then?
There's no doubt that the skills challenge is one of the biggest and most existential skills facing the industry. You've only got to look at the age profile of those within it. I think that there is a huge amount more work that the industry collectively needs to do to talk up its role and its benefit in society. I don't think enough people know, for example, that infrastructure in the built environment is the largest sector in the UK economy. It provides a wealth of opportunities for people. It is something that is very, very resistant to disruption from technology and AI and digitization, which I know, I'm a father of teenage children myself. It scares that generation.
Yeah.
We've got a great story to tell on that. We need to do more of it.
What sort of skills? I mean, you talk about new technology skills. Is that where the focus should be?
New technology skills will certainly play a very, very significant part of it. What interests me, and where I think the biggest single opportunity around skills is where you can triage different skills together.
Right.
And I think the future lies in bringing people into our industry who can deploy different skills, weave them together to deliver outcomes. People who are equally good at engineering and finance, people who are equally good at law and project management, people who are equally good at digital and technology and understanding social impact, for example.
Yeah. But of course, the focus is always, everyone loves building new stuff, and you've built new stuff in your career. But how can we really focus on the vital aspect of the infrastructure, which is improving, maintaining existing assets, because most of the stuff we need is already built?
That's very true. And I think what we're seeing is many, many more people focusing on how do you reuse, recycle and upgrade existing assets. I mean, we've very recently, with Opportunity London, done a massive piece of work on deep retrofit. And what's really interesting is seeing the way in which very, very rapidly that has been massively industrialised from being a sort of bit of a niche on the edges of relevance to being absolutely front and centre to how assets are developed, maintained. And I think the investor sector has a huge part to play here in terms of demonstrating their commitment to continue to invest in retrofitted and recycled assets rather than always demanding new.
Yeah, which I imagine is something which you're very, very engaged in at Arcadis. Let's talk about Arcadis and your vision for the future. It's now a huge, let's be honest, it's a huge multidisciplinary global organisation. I mean, how do you see it influencing the delivery of this vital infrastructure in the UK?
So Arcadis, one of the things that's always attracted me to Arcadis is it is a purpose-driven organisation. Its purpose is really clear. It's improving quality of life. That's not just a natty strapline that our marketing people came up with. It's absolutely ingrained in our DNA. And for me, it's all about providing the leadership that looks at everything we do and everything we're asked to do through that lens of, does it improve quality of life? It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, consultants are constantly trying to get as close as possible to the clients. Are you close enough?
You'd always want to be closer to your clients, wouldn't you? A good leader can never spend enough time with clients. I'm really clear. I'm not doing my job if I'm not spending 60% of my time in the market, either talking to clients or delivering to clients.
Yeah.
That's what's absolutely in me as an individual, and that's the leadership I display to the whole organisation here in the UK and Ireland.
I'm sure that you'd say you give focus to all of them, but any particular ones on top of your list at the moment?
All clients are equally important. I think recently I've been very, very pleased to stand up our technical delivery partnership with Places for London, which is a really fascinating opportunity to deliver transformational change to London through the recycling of the old TfL assets. I think it's really, really fascinating to look at some of the opportunities, for example, in London, to develop the 4 major stations and what a transformational impact that will make, not just to the UK's connectivity, but to the quality of life for the communities around those stations and the economic growth that will be delivered through that regeneration around those 4 stations.
And we're here in Leeds today, and we're hearing an awful lot about, obviously, huge amounts of ambition in areas like in and around Leeds, in and around Manchester, etc. Presumably you are equally interested in all those kind of areas as well.
Of course, I mean, Northern Powerhouse Rail is a massive long-term priority for us that we have been working on long before it was regularly talked about. Manchester Airport Group and the expansion of Manchester Airport has been huge. A lot of the work we're doing around the new hospitals programme is centred around the north. A massively important and hugely growing market for us.
Yeah, I mean, focus is, I mean, it's too often, perhaps too often, on the limited to the design and construction of assets rather than the funding methods. I mean, do you see Arcadis increasingly trying to influence this?
Absolutely. You can't be an organisation of the size, scale and complexity of us if you simply wait around for the RFP to land in your inbox. You have to be out there making your own weather, and that involves being the party that brings together the investors, the lenders, the ultimate clients, the contractors, the supply chain, and the communities that will benefit from the infrastructure that's being delivered. So yes, we absolutely see ourselves playing in that space.
But with so much going on, Peter, you have to make these choices about where you focus. I mean, so give us your top 5 priorities then for Arcadis, or top 3. I mean, how many do you have?
Top 3 priorities. Sure. I mean, that's very clear. I led a workshop with our growth team about that only last Monday, actually, so they're very, very fresh in my mind. For us, we're looking very, very closely at Heathrow expansion, not just about what happens within the airport fence, but around the transformational impact that will have on the entire of West London. And the economy and the communities there. We're looking very, very strongly at critical infrastructure and how we support the delivery of a whole range of critical infrastructure programmes, ranging from the Thames 2100 initiative through to the perennial challenge of grid connection and the delivery of that. And we're focusing super heavily around advanced manufacturing and high-tech industries and how we support those moving forward. If I may, I'm going to come in with a 4th one, and that is, of course, the huge commitment to the water sector that we are going to see over the next 5 years.
Right. Well, fortunately, my podcasts have been mirroring those over the last, with Javier this week, and certainly speaking to Chris at Ofwat very recently as well. Let's talk a bit about you, Peter. You started your career in the built environment as a building surveyor with Hyder Consulting before moving briefly to Robert West and then to Easy Harris, where you ended up as head of government and the municipal sector. I mean, after the merger with Arcadis, you were hugely focused on London. You worked on projects such as I said, St Pancras International and Heathrow's Terminal 5. How for you has the business changed then over the last few years? Is it easier? Is it harder to deliver success?
I think it is easier as we have grown the range of capabilities and skills that we have. We've matured the relationships we have with clients. We've increased our understanding not just of the narrow professional lanes in which we operate, but the whole deal map that delivers programmes and infrastructure. So a huge amount has changed over that period of time. But what fascinates me is what's remained the same, which is the culture and the values of the organisation. That remains constant, and that's what's kept me at the organisation and kept me so massively enthused about the work that we do.
Well, earlier in your career, you were involved in the Jubilee Line Extension. Ultimately, a hugely successful project, but at the time, perhaps you could describe it as having a difficult delivery. What did that teach you about project management?
It taught me tenacity, for sure. It taught me the critical importance of being able to work with people. professional skills, expertise and eminence counts for nothing if you can't bring a team with you. I was terribly junior right at the beginning of my career when I worked on that programme, and I was really fortunate to have the benefit of working with some absolutely inspirational people who showed me there is virtually no limit to what you can deliver if you can harness the power of a team.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to those ladies and gentlemen every single day of my working life, because that continues to guide me and continues to inspire me around Arcadis' ability to deliver anything we put our mind to delivering.
I know what you mean. I do remember that because I was looking over the shoulder of them as I was starting my career in journalism back in those days. You've just been elevated to, as I said, to UK and Ireland country manager, leading Arcadis' 4,500 strong business in the UK and Ireland. I mean, you say it's to deliver our mission to improve the quality of life. How do you do that then?
I think you do that by being very, very clear on, what actually does improve quality of life. And not being dreamy and sort of idealistic about it, but being very hard-headed and rational about, if you look at the skills, capabilities that we have to deploy as an organisation, how best can those deliver something that improves quality of life? Whether it's providing better housing, whether it's providing better social infrastructure, hospitals, schools, healthcare, etc., whether it's providing higher quality, more reliable utilities around power and water, whether it's connecting people up better. It's about inspiring people that the work that they do is not a bottom-up collection of specific technical skills. It's around being shatteringly clear on an outcome and then working logically back on, if that's the outcome, what are all the things that we do as an organisation to make that happen? And also being clear on what are the things we don't do and where do we need to bring in the right partners. So for me, that's how you make real a very lofty aspiration around improving quality of life.
But 4,500 staff, that's a lot of personal ambition and personal careers to keep going. What do you think are the key issues facing those 4,500 staff right now, and how do you help?
So we do an awful lot of engagement with our people, and that gives us a really good insight into what they're thinking, what their aspirations, what their needs are. And I overlay that by spending a lot of my time with our people, talking to our people, getting to understand them. It's really clear to me what our people want. They want to wake up every day feeling that what they're doing is purposeful and worthwhile. They also want to feel that it's building towards something, not just for society, but for them. So we have to demonstrate to them that we are an ambitious, agile, growing, developing business that is responding to the ever-changing needs of the market. So they can say, yeah, I can see my move and my next move and my move after that and my move after that. When you give people that sense of purpose in the work that they're doing and opportunity to progress and to make a greater impact, then you carry people with you. And that's what I focus my time on doing.
What do you get up to when you're not running the business?
Well, I'm not running the business. I tend to be running marathons. I'm a very, very keen runner, albeit I'm slightly injured at the moment, so I'm off games for another week or so. Running is a fabulous way of just clearing your head.
Do you do London or Paris? Or?
I have done London. I will be doing London again in 2027. I will also be doing a number of half marathons around the UK over the course of the next year and a couple overseas. And as an urbanist, it's a great way to see cities as well, to really get up close and personal to cities. So very, very keen on running. I've got 2 teenage daughters, one in the middle of A-levels, one in the middle of GCSEs, so that keeps me pretty active and busy at home. And when I get a spare moment, I love either to indulge my passion for architecture and the built environment, or to sneak away and play with either classic cars or classic motorbikes.
All right, very good. You must tell me what classic cars and classic motorbikes you've got then.
Indeed. So my favourite classic car is my Riley 1.5 that I use for a little bit of hill climbing and classic racing. I've also got a 1969 Land Rover that my father bought a fortnight before I was born and has been in the family ever since, which is just a bit of an heir.
Series 1 presumably then?
A Series 2, actually.
A Series 2.
Yeah, I'm not quite that old,
All right,
Oliver,
okay.
but so that's a great passion, and my favourite classic motorbike is recapturing my teenage youth. It's a Yamaha RD350.
Very good. Well, I'll have to get you to. I've got a Series 3 Land Rover, which
Very nice.
1978, which is there's certain amounts of rust on it, but it's hanging in there. I'll exchange notes about Land Rovers later on. Let's finish off though with a quick romp through the role of sustainable design in building resilient cities. I suppose first of all, what is resilient? What is a resilient city for you?
For me, a resilient city is a city that's resilient in all dimensions. So it's a city that survives, that thrives, that is able to withstand external impacts, that provides opportunity for its people, and that basically weathers the storms of the world in order to continue to perform for its people and its citizens.
Yeah. Well, climate's changing, populations are growing. Is it possible for a city like London or Manchester or Leeds to grow sustainably?
I think that it is. Sustainable growth might mean different growth to the growth that we have been used to. But I think sustainable growth is still there for the taking nonetheless. One of the great things about all of our UK cities is, despite them being very old cities, very well-established cities, they are cities that have a track record of constant regeneration in the broadest sense of that term. And I see no sign that appetite for regeneration is in any way diminishing in our cities. In fact, if anything, in our UK cities, it's accelerating, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, my recent guest, Sam McCabe, who's National Chair of Women in Property and she works for WSP, she pointed out sustainable design, it's really just about good design. I mean, is that the way she sees it? That's the way you see it?
Yeah, very definitely.
Yeah.
Very definitely.
Well, I mean, building sustainably, it's a wide challenge. It encompasses the need to create the right business models. I mean, are we sufficiently focused on creating those business models to drive that sustainable design and delivery?
I think we are in large part. I think there are areas where there isn't enough focus on that, and I think one of the challenges incumbent on our industry is to drive that focus. And as advisors, it is our role to advise our clients when we think they are lacking that focus.
To make sure it's not just an add-on, make sure it's fundamental to the design and also the creation of that project, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. And really to challenge from first principles around what is this project trying to achieve and is it additive?
Yeah. Well, we're chatting today, as I said, UKREiiF in Leeds. I mean, what do you hope to leave the event with? There's so much going on here over 3 days. It's mind-boggling, to be quite honest. A lot of people want to grab you for some time. I imagine you want to grab an awful lot of other people. What do you hope to leave this 3-day event that will help you to drive forward Arcadis?
I think what I'm hoping to leave from is really simple. It's creating that collective view that in a very uncertain world, let's not pretend that it's anything but very uncertain, we can still do an awful lot. If we put our minds to it, if we work together, if we focus on the things that we can control, then it is within our collective grasp, us here, the industry at UKREiiF, to work with our clients to get an awful lot delivered.
Yeah.
That's what I want to leave UKREiiF with.
And there's an awful lot of ministers and secretaries of state and politicians and mayors floating around making speeches. What messages do you think people like yourself should be leaving them with to take away back to government?
I think the messages we should be leaving those people with is really clear. Delivering growth in the built environment is a team sport. Don't be tribal. Don't think just in terms of your political cycle. Think about the long-term benefit that you're trying to leave. Think about the things that you can really make stick. Then we, the industry, will absolutely get round you, get behind you, and work with you to deliver your agenda.
Yeah.
When it's nakedly political, maybe a little bit less so.
Okay. Well, look, thanks so much, Peter. It's great to catch up with you here at UKREiiF. Certainly there is a huge amount happening in the sector right now, and lots to chat through at this event. And I imagine you're going to rush off now and go and start that chatting. But thanks so much for joining me on the Infrastructure Podcast to update us.
Anthony, it's a pleasure. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
No problem at all. Look, sadly, that's all we've got time for on the podcast right now, but there's more in the pipeline as we continue to probe the big issues facing the sector. If you haven't done so already, do check out the Infrastructure Podcast's website, www.infrastructure-podcast.com, where you'll find background information and all the latest podcasts to listen to and to share. So thanks for joining us. Thanks again to Peter. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.